Mom Who Knows Nada. My name is Brianna, and this is the Mama Knows Nada podcast. Today, we're highlighting dads. It's our featured father. His name is Todd Bauer. He is the founder of Optimal Health Alliance, and that is based in Glen Arm, Maryland. And it's actually an all-encompassing health and wellness hub. So think personal training meets nutrition meets meditation. So it's a full, well-rounded practice. We're going to get into more about Optimal Health Alliance and why and how he started that. But before we dive into your company and your mission, I really just wanted to know what inspired you to be in the health and fitness industry.
Great question. I grew up an overweight child, eating a lot of poor food, not by lack of means, but more so just lack of knowledge, I think. The parents are half Italian, half German, so always great food, but always not the best for you. So I increasingly became obese, and as an adolescent, there was a point where I just realized that it wasn't who I wanted to be and wasn't supposed to be. So I started diving in, traded in the trumpet for a pair of football pads, and started getting to work in the gym. Threw out some sideburns at the time, which I thought was cool.
Nice. That's incredible.
Yeah. Great pictures to look back at. That's kind of when it all started, and I just really found a lot of therapy more than anything in the gym. And I think like a lot of
totally
men and women. So that was the start of it, and then from there, just kind of kept putting me back in the arena. I tried to do all kinds of things: physical therapy, medical sales. And always found myself back in front of people, trying to get them where they needed to be.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So that sounds like quite a journey into health and fitness. And I totally, that resonates with the therapy thing. I started running as a teenager, just get out all the aggression, and I'm still a runner today. So that resonates with me for sure. Are there different ways that you approach your fitness training or health and well-being training for men versus women?
It's all very similar. It's part of the intake on how I'm a little bit more energy. So it's their presence walking in. Sometimes guys are a little bit less likely to let their guard down or kind of tap into what's really going on. Easiest thing to do is get the 5 whys, the why behind the why behind the why.
Really delving deep.
Yeah.
Peel back the onion layers.
Yeah. Clear the air real quick, and just get a sense of where I'm coming from. I'm not sure, I don't want to say average trainer, but I do more therapy than I do, I guess, training. I always found more therapy and movement than I did sitting in a chair speaking with a therapist. So to me, it came more natural, through weightlifting and exercise of any degree. As far as females, they were a lot more open and more receptive to the back and forth conversation. I think guys, going back as far as you can probably remember, guys aren't supposed to feel their emotions. They're supposed to be rocks, which is a lot of times women like rocks. Don't get me wrong. But, we also have a lot of emotions and things that we've held back, or, we're trying to understand how to peel back our own onions of life. And, so that's kind of my approach.
Amen to that. My husband's a Brit, so there's
there you go.
I mean, even though we both speak English, there's a lot of disconnect in what you do and don't do, which is a societal implication, and ramifications of that. So that's interesting that you noticed that when you're training. But in all of that, so you said, fitness is your therapy. You found it to be more therapeutic and movement. But when did you really discover that there was more than the physical aspect that really needed that maintenance and work on a regular basis? Was there an aha moment for you when you realized, oh, this fitness training is more than that meets the eye, or what was that kind of like gradual shift like for you?
Yeah, I think it was early on. Once I decided, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be, helping people get where they want to go. My best friend, Chris Sims, who is up in New York, he's a great trainer and life coach. He and I realized, like, I think in our early 20s, 21, 22, that
Oh, wow.
we were more therapists than we were, trainers. I mean, we were obviously doing our work and we were good at it, but we realized it had a lot more to do with the mindset and the way to shift the mindset to something that led to a better direction than maybe certain paths would.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are there any misconceptions about like overall wellness or fitness that you'd like to just kind of like tackle or kind of point out that maybe we shouldn't think that way, or maybe, overall health means more than, I mean, we all know, like, you don't need a six-pack abs to be healthy.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you've kind of encountered on your journey that you're like, wow, I can't believe a lot of people believe this about health and well-being and fitness?
I think the biggest disservice we do is we create or try to classify ourselves in one ideology of health instead of looking at the spectrum. And nutrition is the easiest way to break this down. Is I can be vegan, I can be plant-based. You instead of picking one and sticking under that category, try everything, see where works best for you, and then blend it. And that goes for strength training to, weight loss to powerlifting. You can dabble in all of it and create your perfect plan. And I think that's what both men and women do. We just kind of get stuck in these programs or categories, and we don't want to lend ourselves to, hey, maybe I would do better on a vegetarian-based diet, or at least a plant-based.
No, I like that a lot. I like how you're saying, like, you got to sample. Like I say to my son all the time, how do you know if you don't try?
Exactly.
If you don't eat a carrot, how do you know you don't like a carrot? Or if you don't try a steak? And also, just to kind of like take it further, if you try something, how does it make you feel afterwards? Like,
Exactly.
Is it giving you energy? Is it weighing you down? I think that's where a lot of people have disconnect with food. Like, we know processed foods, we can agree that's a bad thing. Everything in moderation, including moderation, right? But, try to like, let's have this once in a while as like a treat, if you will, versus like something you eat every day. How does that... Food is supposed to nourish you, right? And I'm not a nutritionist, but this is what I hear. And if you don't feel nourished, then maybe you need to try something else, like a vegetarian, plant-based. Hey, maybe you're a vegetarian who needs a steak. Like that also is an option.
And to that point, your point is there's different times in life when your body needs different things. And sometimes it might need some animal protein to make itself heal or feel better. And other times you might need to back off and go more plant-based or vegetarian.
I love that. That's an excellent point. I mean, just like from the woman perspective, there's different, we all know the woman's cycle. There's definitely different times in the month where I need different food, and I'm not a red meat eater, but bring on that steak, buddy.
Exactly. When iron's going out the window.
You gotta replenish it.
Exactly.
So how did your company come to fruition then? So you've had all this background, you've been training people, you've been successful at it, you've trained with Under Armour and a bunch of different people. So how did Optimal Health Alliance kind of come into existence?
Yes. Let me go back. I've been a trainer a long time. So I've been a trainer for about 16 years, and I started in the city, in Baltimore City, and worked for a club there for 8, 9, 10 years. So became one of the dominant trainers down there, which is great just because I was a mainstay. A lot of people in the industry come and go. So once I dedicated my career to it, it started there. And then I was fortunate enough to, shift over to Under Armour and their people. And ultimately I wound up leaving and working for Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright for a little while, which was great. That's cool. Yeah, I got to travel the world and I was part of a great team and really enjoyed that. So I love that team-based atmosphere. And then, when House of Cards ended and things moved on, I was like 28, 29. I was like, well, what now? I just hit, my life goal is train celebrities, travel the world. So what do you do now? And so I actually, went through a little bit of depression during that time, just trying to get an understanding of here I am, what happens when you're there, no one ever talks about that. So went through that and realized, I love nature. It fuels me. And where I was, the gym I was running was very, it was in the basement of a condo building. So I needed to see daylight. So, my wife or fiance at the time, we were looking for property up in Western Maryland and looking to create a retreat space where we could take the people from the city and ship them out. And we wound up in Glen Arm, Maryland. And so we've been renovating for 6 years, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Wow.
Blood and tears. But we've created the farm at 4424. So it's a 3-acre little health farm. So we have a commercial gym, massage therapy, meditation space, 3 goats, 10 chickens. I just built a wood-burning sauna, which is pretty amazing.
Ooh.
So we created this retreat space, maybe 30 minutes from the city. So that's kind of become our home base. But what was hard was, getting people in Baltimore to understand where Glen Arm was. Most people don't know where it is.
Fair.
It's a beautiful little area that gets overlooked often. So, and at the same time, I realized in order to scale and touch more people and help more people, we needed to find a way to create an online presence and get out there and be able to touch some of the hospitals and physicians, the people that have access to a lot of unhealthy people. So that's where it kind of dawned. It was like, okay, physicians write the scripts and we carry out the program. And, and then I started bringing different players involved, all the people that I personally used through my own journey of, strains or pulls or tightness or, any type of therapy. I started bringing them in and say, hey, what would this look like? And ultimately we put together Optimal Health Alliance, nice. Which is still early on, but we're growing rapidly and the vision's great.
That's incredible. I love that. But I also because I feel the same way, I learned so much, and this is kind of how the podcast was born. I learned so much in my first pregnancy, just being open to trying things on that motif. And I realized there's so much that we don't talk about or that we don't understand, or it's not common knowledge. It's especially in Western culture, it's you do this, you do that, you go to an OBGYN, you have a baby in a hospital, you may or may not have a C-section, but that's all you get, So I think that pulling from those people who have educated me about, actually you can go to a chiropractor when you're pregnant and you can have acupuncture and that could actually help you with labor and childbirth. It's well, how come we don't talk about this stuff?
Yeah.
Where is that?
Where is that in the program? Yeah.
Come on. So I love that you said that. You're pulling from all these people who gave you these tools and kind of perpetuating the cycle of wellness and well-being. It's pretty awesome.
And then as briefly mentioned to you, was when my wife wound up with her bout of breast cancer 2 years ago. It was a hey, here we go. Yes, we're new, but we're gonna create a perfect plan for or an optimal plan as best we could see fit for my wife, and we truly feel that it worked. And here we are 2 years later. Yeah.
I read through that article and I thought that was really powerful to say that she got her diagnosis. This treatment was like not really functioning as well as it could have. And then you created this whole plan for her. And this like next round of chemo, she was like, she was so responsive to. I think that was like an incredible testimony to like this hybrid of how do you merge, different practitioners and ways of doing things with modern medicine to get an optimal outcome, as you will.
Yeah.
So that's a really powerful message to me personally, because my husband is very, a doctor's right. And I'm like, yeah, the doctors have expertise in a lot of know-how. You can't disregard that. However, everybody is a chemistry set, and what works for my body isn't going to work for the next woman's body the same way, because we're different.
Exactly.
So you kind of, you have to have a hybrid model, I think, if you want to have a successful model. So thank you for sharing that story with us too.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's part of the journey.
That's a lot to go through as a family. I'm going to kind of like switch in gears and go down that family path. So
sure.
Your wife you and your wife have been together for several years. Now you have...
Yeah, coming up on our 6-year anniversary, actually, this Sunday.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
6 years of marriage?
Fly by. Yep. Yeah, we've known each other, I think, 9 years, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm like working on 2 with a 4-year-old, so, whatever.
No, it's beautiful.
Right?
It should be. Yeah.
When you first found out your wife was pregnant, Liz is her name, correct?
Yes.
When you first found out Liz was pregnant, what was that moment like for you?
Okay, so I think like you guys and maybe your dad, it wasn't expected. We were getting married here on a red, half all the wires were hanging out of our house. We were getting married right in the middle of Hurricane Matthew, I think it was.
Fun.
So yeah, in our backyard. So. We had a lot going on, but my wife found out 3 days before our wedding. Yeah.
Wow.
So we had the hurricane. We had the whole house renovation going on, and we were forced to have people, the raw and the real, right? That's how it starts. But I remember her looking at me in the car, and she's like, I was like, "What's going on?" I could read it, and. And she was like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, oh, it's good. So let it be known that we weren't planning to have kids. We were going to just do us, and that was it. We weren't ever going to have kids, which is now a blessing that I wasn't aware of at the time. Yeah, exactly. So I remember being shocked and just like, wow, okay, well, here we go. Buckle up. And that was probably the most true words I've ever had to myself. But it was great. I saw her reaction, like when she told me in her face. I can remember it. I could draw it right now. It was just so beautiful, and I was, didn't matter what I thought at that moment. I was going to be a dad. Yeah. Yep. So it was great.
You better wrap your brain around that one.
Exactly.
Ours was similar. Like I wasn't supposed to be able to get pregnant, blah, blah, blah. So we weren't going to plan on having kids. And yep, there he is in his 4 years of glory. You're just like,
sure is.
Couldn't imagine life without you, but also what the heck?
So true.
So watching her go through this transformation and this journey, like from, not pregnant to fully pregnant to delivery, what was your response to all of this? Like, how did you feel watching her go through all these shifts?
Yeah, I mean, and like we've talked about, I've trained hundreds of women that have been pregnant or become pregnant. The first-hand view is definitely different. It's a lot more, exposed, a lot more. You're constantly trying to gauge emotions, and as aware of that as I am, it was still difficult being right there, in my face, for lack of better terms. But there's always like this, like supportive. What should I be doing? How to navigate this new thing. that was always kind of there until birth. Yeah.
I get that. How do you support in the right way? And every pregnancy is different. So, did she have good pregnancies? Or
Yeah, so she was sick, nauseous, with like the what do they call it? Seasick for all 9 months.
Oof.
Every day. Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. Yeah, that was probably the worst of it. Just watching her just be really like seasick all the time.
Oof. No, I feel that. I did that for the first trimester, and that was too much. So
yeah, we were hoping it'd go away, and it never went.
It never did.
Never.
Dang. Oh God.
So it made it really, really hard to like, okay, let me make you some food, or like, love it, let me make some comfort food, or do this or do that, anything. It was all out the window. So it was just a new territory of exploration on how to assist without being the one that does something for someone.
Right. No, I get that. That's so hard. It's so hard because you're in like this weird vertical. I think sometimes it's hard for men to, my husband was like, I don't know what to do, like any time. I think it's hard for men to really know how to be helpful. And I know for me, I was like, can't you read my mind? Like, just go do something helpful, draw a bath. I don't know, something, And he's like, I don't know how to be the most helpful to you. So then your kid arrives, and you have 2 right now?
We have 2. Cash was our first, Cash Warren, and then Rocky Batista is our youngest.
Oh, those are fun. I like those names.
Yeah, they're great kids. So Cash is 5 in a couple months, and Rocky is 3.5.
Oh, so he's like my son's age. That's a fun age.
It is. Yeah, it's an age.
It's an age for sure.
Yeah.
How has fatherhood changed you?
Great question. Presence. I've been much more aware of where and it's a daily act. It's a practice, right? So that's why they call it practice. Of being still and present as much as I can in the moments. Not being on my phone, not trying to finish an email. Because they don't see it. They don't see it that way. They just see us on our phone. Or,
Yep.
It doesn't matter what business deal I'm trying to close or who I need to answer. And obviously, I don't want to miss those moments either.
Right.
So I would say stillness and presence is probably the 2 I've had to practice the most.
Yes, I think the presence part is hard for a lot of parents, myself in particular. It always seems that whenever I'm really in the zone with like something or like have this great epiphany with writing or something, that's exactly when my son wants my attention, or I need to leave and go get him, or that email comes through that I've been waiting for all day, and you're like, and the presence thing has been really difficult for me. Like I hear you there. You're just like, okay, but this thing, like I've started to just like leave my phone in another room, and he goes to preschool, so I really don't have, I have so many hours in the morning and so many hours in the afternoon that I, have to be present for him. So it's not that difficult, right? But some days it's really difficult.
Yeah. Some days are easier than others, and some days you're like, oh, I got this, and then the next day it's completely
like, no. Yeah. Is there an easy part of your transition into fatherhood? Was there something that just came to you so naturally?
Yeah, I think communication. I know that was also huge for you, Dad. I didn't have a lot of communication growing up. Like my parents were also divorced at a difficult age. I was 13. I was just trying to get into dating girls, and there was. They tried to sit down and explain the serious things when they were happening. Like my dad leaving and moving out or whatever. So I always wanted that to, and don't get me wrong, I had my walls up until my 20s, and, a lot of my own self-work, but, I knew part of my struggle and peeling back my onion was to make sure that was on the forefront for them. Like, I didn't want communication or not being able to speak to me or always think I was going to be mad at if they were in trouble. That wasn't something I wanted my kids to like deal with. I just wanted that off the table. So that has still stayed like the forefront of probably the easiest thing to do, is because I want it so bad for them, is just keep that line of communication open for both us and my wife.
No, I think that's important. And I think sometimes, especially as someone who's like a trained communicator, I think I'm communicating effectively and I'm just missing the mark, like 100%. I think that's a really good thing to just hone in on. Communication is different. And my husband and I talk about this a lot too, intention versus perception. Like if I'm like, I'll say, hey, can you clean up the grill? You know, you used it, clean it up. I don't touch that thing. I'll hurt myself. It's just not right. So, and he takes that one way when I'm just like, oh, you know, can you just do that? And he takes it as I'm nagging or whatever. And that's just like a simple example. But it is interesting how we think we're being effective communicators sometimes. And we're really just, way off base. Oh, I had another question I wanted for you before I asked this one. But, I wanted to kind of go back to this. When you find out your wife was pregnant, and once the initial shock wore off, did you have a hard time accepting it? Or was it pretty much just like, okay, whatever, this is an unexpected but welcomed journey that we're going to go on together?
Any journey with my wife is a journey I'd take.
That's a really sweet answer.
Yeah, and I just came up with that. I actually, that sounds really good. I should put that in the card. Just, again, seeing her eyes, seeing how like lit she was from it. There was a lot of questions, because I was always like, I'm good. I'm good without kids. This world is crazy. I don't, it's hard enough to, I did my own unpacking and still unpacking from God knows, legacies of stuff. So, I think it was full acceptance. I mean, there wasn't, there was a lot of questions, but it was all good. It was, she had some things she wasn't supposed to be able to have kids, so that was, or it was going to be challenging. So,
funny how that works.
Yeah. Eat some plants and poof, you can have babies. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow. That's so funny you say that. Oh my gosh. So the reason I wanted to kind of circle back to that and just get a little more clarity on your perspective is my husband took months to really like embrace, and it's no fault of his own. I was told I couldn't have kids, like I mentioned earlier. Now I'm just being redundant. Anyway, so he was just like mind blown when he found out, and it literally took him like 2 months to tell his parents because he just like couldn't figure out how to like
digest. So
it was just really interesting. But the other funny thing about eating plants is I was working for a restaurant called True Food Kitchen at the time. And I don't know if you're familiar with them, but everything is like based off Dr. Andrew Weil, plant-based, anti-inflammatory diet, whole foods, et cetera, et cetera. And it was like probably the healthiest food I'd ever eaten in my entire life, even though it was a restaurant, because it was so clean. So you're just like, all of these things came into play. I was like, the best I've ever eaten. Here's this British man who likes to say that he has, empire quality, I guess, is what he likes to refer to himself as, which I always find really funny. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. But so he's like, so it's just funny you said, eat some plants, and then poof, there it happens, because I feel like that really happened for me.
Let it be known to your audience that is not as easy as it is. But
no, it's not. But let's be real here. That takes a lot more than that. But it's just funny. In retrospect. Now, I want to touch base on something that we talked about via emails, but I thought it was kind of poignant, and also like parallel. We talked about this guy, Peter Crone, who's the mind architect, right? And it's funny, like you have a very similar parallel to his journey. He started as a fitness trainer, comes up with all this stuff, found out that he was really coaching people through more than fitness. So I see parallels in that. But what I also thought was really interesting is what you referred to in your email of the mental Sherpa, like one of your clients called you that.
Yeah.
Which I mean, to me, I think that's kind of like the ultimate compliment in a certain regard, right? But I kind of wanted to pry a little bit and see what was your approach to this particular person to get the results and that kind of affirmation for yourself in your work. That's a high compliment for. Yeah,
and I agree. It was funny because my wife and I were like, "Oh, we need something like different on your business cards," or like, CEO and founder. It's all boring. Like it's been done. And then like literally, she came in for. We're sitting outside by the garden, just kind of looking at nature, and it was the way it came about was we were trying to get her to get in touch with her inner self. And it's been, through a lot of dialogue, it's been since she was a little girl that she was able to do that outside of exercise. So like exercise was a way for her to clear her space, clear her brain, clear her space, and relieve stress. But it was the only time she could ever connect to her inner voice.
Interesting.
So we tried a few different techniques, and then it was like it was basically like morning meditations, morning music. We realized music was, like me, music was a gateway to get into that meditative state. So she had done it in the morning, and she just like broke out. She was down, and she just literally broke out tears, and she realized she had that connection again, and it was beautiful to be able to coach them through that, be able to watch them feel it, and then be able to use that as a way forward. It was good. And then she's like, "You're like a mental Sherpa." I'm like, "Hey, I was looking for something from my cards." So there we go.
That's it.
My mind architect was taken. But, it was good. It was great.
No, I think that's so cool. And also to have I think sometimes as humans we're so impatient, and when we're seeking help or answers, or even with any external assistance, to have that patience and that wherewithal to try different things to get someone to dig a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper until they finally have that epiphany, that moment of, almost can be like transcendental in a way. Like if you just have this moment of clarity and you finally like feel connected to yourself, you're like, "Oh, this is fucking amazing," but it takes patience on both ends, it
does. A lot of times, like I'll see something way ahead of the client, but it's not my job to tell them what they want. They have to discover it for themselves or get there.
That is the metaphor for life, isn't it? In parenthood, like you can see 1,000,001 things happening, but you just got to let them figure it out for themselves. Hard. That's hard for me as like a human.
My youngest, absolutely. My youngest is, no matter what I tell him, he's got to try it on his own. Like touch, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't do it.
It's a younger child thing.
He's like, got to do it.
Yep. Yeah. You got to find out for yourself. That's awesome.
Yeah. And look, that's his journey, right? So
you just hope that they don't seriously injure themselves.
Exactly. Just close your eyes when you do it.
That's what my husband does. He's like, please.
You only get 2 of those. Yeah.
All right. We're going to get into just the final quick questions for you. Things I like to call the nada. What was the most useless, unsolicited advice or information you heard while your wife was pregnant, while you were expecting your children?
The most useless. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's a good one. I think it was like was something so renewed. Well, it's all the parenting advice, like all the things you get from, your mom.
Oh yeah.
That, all those things for sure. There's too many to list.
It's true. It's true.
But something like as simple as like, the first one's going to look like the mother, or like something like so remedial. I'm like, why would you like?
Why would you say that?
Who cares? Like, he's my homie. Like, it's all good. He doesn't need to look exactly like me. I will say, like, I was expecting 2 dark-haired kids. Like, I never thought I would have 2 blonde-haired kids, and sure enough, I do.
Ah,
yeah. It did just never register. I wasn't like, I need brown-haired Italian stallions, but like, it was just a weird thing.
You'd think blonde's more recessive gene, so.
Yeah.
Right?
So
yeah.
It just never occurred to me. Yeah. Something like, the first one always looks like their mother or something like that. People were pretty good, except, my mom laid her know-how in there, but she's a boy mom, so gotta give her credit.
And you'd think, I said this to my mom not that long ago, I was like, you were a parent, first-time parent 30-some years ago. Don't you think things have changed?
Right.
Okay, Mom. Thank you. What do you wish somebody would have told you about parenthood?
Stop building and focus on now. It would have saved me a lot of like stress. I'm creator. Bauer equals builder in German. I have that desire to continue to grow both personally and professionally. And although I live at home, I work out of the farm here. I'm here. I've fully been able to watch my kids grow, which is an amazing gift.
Totally.
But I've, a large part of the first months and even years, I was always trying to grow something to like support the family, or to create this like endpoint that will never exist. As I'm coming to find out that where there's, hey, we're here,
Yeah.
And not give away the moments to get there. That makes sense now.
No, that makes total sense. I know, it's just going back to the thing you said when you reach that like moment of that like culmination of like your training career, it's like, where to next, right?
Yeah.
Always looking for the next thing. But at least this is just for me, but again, resonates with me. I think sometimes our kids are put in our lives to teach us something. Sometimes that's stop. Sometimes sometimes it's, for me, it's, patience, I know it's patience, stillness, presence, as we've already discussed a lot about, but also that pinnacle looks different. Me 10 years ago thinking, even 5 years ago, thinking I'm never going to have kids. I'm never going to this. I'm never going to that. That mountain peak has definitely shifted for me, and what's important has changed. And I know that there's like different peaks. So like there's a new culmination, but it's not like there's a time limit on it for once. I thought, like once I realized,
that's a great way to say it.
So again, you're just saying things that resonate very much with me and like my own personal journey. So that's always fun. Anyway, back to the last question. What unsolicited advice do you have for new parents or soon to be parents?
Ooh. Water. Give your wife water all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
All day, every day, freshen her water up. I was the water boy for a solid 3 years straight. I probably still am conditioned to do it now. But I would say if you wanted to do one thing without getting in the way, ice water all day, every day.
Is a very practical insight, actually. In general, like you always need more water, period.
Always need more water.
Always, but pregnant women.
Yeah, exorbitant. She drinks more than the cow. It's mind-blowing. Yeah.
That's so simple, like, and
so
yet
simple.
so necessary.
Start somewhere, The rest you can figure out on your own.
Ooh, whoa, you know, good luck with that.
Godspeed. Yeah.
Todd, thank you so much for spending some of your day with us.
Of course, it was a pleasure.
Oh, so awesome. Can't wait to share this with everybody. I'm the mom who knows nada. My name is Brianna. That is Todd Bauer. You can find him at Optimal Health Alliance. He could be your guru or your mind sherpa too. So there you go. Anyway, until next time, have fun learning all the things you didn't know you needed to know.